So, Mr. President, first, I'm happy to talk about the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, a great artistic creation in America, and we have a resolution celebrating that 50th anniversary. I'm proud that my resolution commemorating the 50th anniversary of hip-hop has just passed the Senate. The resolution again designates August 11th as Hip-Hop Celebration Day. The month of August is Hip-Hop Recognition Month, and the month of November as Hip-Hop History Month. I'd like to thank Senator Cassidy, as well as Congressman Bowman in the House, for their work on this resolution. And I also want to thank my dear friend Leroy McCarthy.
Including those that provide an extra $300 a week, on top of regular state unemployment benefits and expanded eligibility for jobless aid. The supplemental benefits are not poised to expire until September 6th. Alaska, Iowa, and even Missouri will be the first to opt out of this, and this ends the crisis era programs for out-of-work Americans on June 12th. The other states that are terminating benefits early include states like Georgia, Florida, and Texas. Now folks, those states will stop giving unemployed workers an extra $300 in benefits sometime over the summer. According to one estimate published by the Century Foundation, roughly 16 million Americans will lose their unemployment benefits as a result. GOP lawmakers were quick to blame the extra unemployment aid for the anemic job growth, although experts have also cited a lack of childcare and fears of contracting it for the hiring shortage. What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Are the unemployment benefits keeping people out of work? Tell me your thoughts on this in the comments below. There remain 7.6 million fewer jobs than in February of 2020. That's before the crisis began. The average state unemployment benefit is about $330 per week. With the federal supplement, Americans were receiving around $630 in weekly unemployment benefits. That's about $32,000 annually, or roughly double the nation's minimum wage. President Joe Biden has said that the unemployment benefits will end in September as planned. However, many of his party members will want to make the extra money permanent. Millions of people have been clamoring for recurring stimulus payments, and several lawmakers have even expressed support for more relief aid through the crisis. President Biden's American Families Plan and the American Jobs Plan will definitely provide so many Americans with financial relief. In a press conference, White House Press Secretary said this about a fourth stimulus payment. She said that the Biden administration will continue to watch the debate in Congress over additional economic impact payments. Recently, 26 Democrats signed 2 letters sent to the White House, campaigning for automatic stabilizers for future stimulus checks. If Congress approves this means automatic payments that are deposited into the bank accounts of millions of Americans. According to Newsweek, the White House does support automatic stabilizers for unemployment. Many lawmakers are hopeful if it's included in the Biden administration's upcoming American Families Plan. As put in the White House's statement, the upcoming bill is to grow the middle class, expand the benefits of economic growth to all Americans, and leave the U.S. more competitive. The White House is also proposing the American Families Plan, and that will add at least 4 years of free education, provide direct support to children and families, and extend tax cuts for families with children and American workers. On July 15th, the IRS will start issuing payments to more than 36 million people who are eligible for the expanded child tax credit. Now folks, taxpayers say there may be good reasons for some taxpayers to refuse to take the monthly advance payments. If your eligibility changes over the course of the year because you earn more income, you have to pay back any overpayments when you file your 2021 tax return. And that could hold true for millions of people who are unemployed because of the crisis, or for people who got new jobs with higher income. The IRS said last week that it just sent over 2.8 million refunds to Americans who paid too much tax on their unemployment. If you qualify for money back, you will receive the refund, either in your bank account or if the government doesn't have your bank account information, as a paper check. Today, Kevin McCarthy announced that Congress will meet the deadline to raise debt ceiling, acknowledging that no deal has been made by voting an agreement will be reached in time to prevent a government default. Janet Yellen raised the stakes in the marathon negotiations on Friday, when she provided the first hard deadline for when the government will be unable to pay down all of its obligations. June 5th, everybody, is the date. And asked if Congress can meet that deadline, McCarthy didn't hesitate to say yes. McCarthy vowed that he'll stick with the 72-hour rule, providing lawmakers a full 3 days to read a text of the legislation before they're asked to vote on it. McCarthy even said he's been in talks with Senate leaders about how much time they'll need to meet the June 5 deadline. And if a deal is reached tomorrow, that would set the stage for a House vote on Tuesday. McCarthy declined to name the barriers that remain as he and his deputies haggle with the White House negotiators over the last outstanding disagreements. But he said Republicans have not dropped the demand for permitting reform designed to eliminate regulatory hurdles to energy infrastructure projects. It's something Democrats have opposed for fear that it would degrade the environment at the expense of poor communities. McCarthy also confirmed that Republicans have been in discussions with Kyrsten Sinema and moderate Democrats on particular issues. The speaker outlined the rollout of any deal and saying he would make a vague announcement that would withhold the details of any agreement to allow lawmakers to read the bill before the press and public do. Still, people all over the nation are now wondering what will happen to lawmakers if their personal finances are not met. Based on Social Security Administration payment schedules, a June 5 default might actually protect beneficiaries from the potential delayed checks and direct deposits, because individuals receiving the payments are still going to receive the money, but maybe in a later date. If the Treasury Department is unable to successfully prioritize payments for Social Security, the consequences for these groups can be devastating. Beyond the initial group of payees, the Social Security Administration monthly payment calendar suggests that there is a bit more breathing room for other beneficiaries, providing that lawmakers reach a deal beforehand and the next beneficiary payments are not expected until June 14th. So, the debt default picture is also cloudy for individuals who rely on Medicare and Medicaid to pay for bills. But the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services said that these government health programs are defaulting on the national debt and would severely damage the crucial health care programs that millions of Americans rely on. And since Yellen was the first on a debt default, she said it could happen within a few days of June. And the short-term U.S. borrowing costs have soared as investors demand greater return for the risk that they won't be paid on time.
And not raise taxes on anyone making over 400,000 grand. And I'll pay for it all, my proposals, by making the wealthy and big corporations pay just a little bit more. Like I said, do you think a trillionaire should be staying at 3%? Look, I'm a capitalist. If you can make $1 million or $1 billion, I said trillion. If you make $1 billion or $1 million, God love you. But just
I can't believe this is happening, folks. Millions of Americans will see their monthly benefits disappear. And the White House has already confirmed that Joe Biden will be ending the national public health emergency. And so what this means is that many low-income households, seniors, will see a drastic change to the monthly benefits. Now, the White House has officially announced today that Joe Biden intends to end his public health emergency. And that means that many Americans can have to start paying for testing and treatment after the declaration ceases. So the White House folks said in a statement that this wind down would align with the administration's previous commitments to give at least 60 days notice prior to the termination of the public health emergency. So this has enabled the Americans to provide, and the government to provide Americans with tests and treatments at no charge, as well as other enhanced social safety net benefits, and to help the nation cope with the crisis and minimize its impact. So a senior vice president at the Family Foundation told CNN, people